Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. I am Chris Phillips. Joining me as he always does, Harrison Fant, back once again to break down another electric midweek slate and talk weekend number 7 in conference play on the Diamond in the SEC, and arguably the best weekend to date. Feels like a separation weekend where teams are fighting for not just postseason bids, but national seeds as well. We have got a ton of storylines, of course, headlined by two of the biggest series all season. The battle down in Austin between A&M and Texas, and, of course, the one we will be at in Baton Rouge when LSU and Tennessee square off. Guys, before we get there, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets today. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. We are recapping the midweek it was, looking ahead to weekend number 7 in conference play on the Diamond. And boy, oh boy, do we have one heck of a slate awaiting us this weekend. I am Chris Phillips, helping me break it all down and locking in his predictions with me. My good friend once again joins me, Harrison Fant, one of the best in the business. Harrison, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. And boy, oh boy, I am thrilled to break all this down with you.
Chris, appreciate the intro, and I'm just as thrilled to break it down with you. I mean, the midweek, another midweek that mattered, because midweeks do matter, Chris. And a thriving midweek, maybe not in the sense of an electric one, but it was still, I think, a notable midweek to keep track of as we've gone throughout the season. That's been full of just great midweeks, it feels like, especially leading into what feels like one of the biggest weekends of the SEC conference season so far. I think you best summed it up with separation, and this is the weekend that a lot of teams can do that. And, we're going to find out who's who even more after this weekend, Chris. I'm excited.
Yeah, the final conference weekend, Harrison, and the final weekend of SEC baseball in the month of April. Before you know it, we're turning the calendar to May. We all know what happens in May. Postseason baseball, from conference tournaments to Selection Monday to regionals, and we'll be off and running on the road to Omaha. Harrison, like you said, let's go ahead and dive in the midweek, because it was a really interesting midweek. It was funny because we say midweeks matter. There were more than a few SEC fan bases that would like to argue today that midweeks don't matter, because that would probably help them feel a lot better about what happened just a few short days ago. But we had some thrillers, starting with Texas beating Texas State. Jalen Flores with a big grand slam in the top of the ninth. Harrison, you and I both know the boys from San Marcos are giant killers in the midweek. They live for these games. They got our favorite psycho pitcher in all of college baseball. Texas, it looks like, was going to fall to them again. They outlast them. You had Auburn beating up on Georgia Tech 1-0, a shutout victory. Georgia Tech scuffling a little bit, and that was a big win for Auburn, obviously getting off the schneid after they had a tough weekend in Austin. Harrison, I was at the game at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Georgia gets shut out by Clemson. You talk about another team that's scuffling. They lost their 4th in a row. I was stunned to see that lineup held at bay. It continues the theme that we talked about on Monday, Harrison, that for whatever reason, this offense just on the road, it's like they're feeding all the trees at Foley and they have nothing left to give anywhere else. I don't know what it is, but give Clemson a lot of credit. They've got a squad. But then you had Oklahoma falling to Oral Roberts. Vandy lost their first midweek of the season, losing to Middle Tennessee State. Ole Miss walked off Mississippi State for the Governor's Cup. Will Furniss with a big swing of the bat. That was the big one. And I would argue, Harrison, and this is arguable now.
That was a big one.
I was going to say this one to me, not that one. This one to me, maybe it's just because we're going there this weekend, but maybe the most eye-popping result was Northwestern State run ruling LSU. Harrison, that is the first time LSU has ever been run ruled in Baton Rouge by a non-conference team. And I think maybe that they ever have been run ruled by a non-conference team before. So LSU feeling very uneasy. We also saw Tennessee break out the black uniforms against Lipscomb, of all teams, and it worked. They run ruled them. Hey, we saw Mizzou, Harrison, get run ruled by Missouri State. Their 4th straight run rule defeat. I don't know if Mizzou's checking out in the season or not. But anyways, I just threw a lot at you. There was a lot to take away from the midweek, my friend. Your thoughts. Do you want to start with Georgia Tech, your boys in Atlanta, or struggling a little bit right now.
We can start there. I mean, struggling is a bit of a reach, I think, because you're playing a team that's played very strong baseball. Auburn's played some of the best baseball, arguably, in the SEC. I mean, you sweep LSU, a top 5 team at the time. Obviously, they lose the midweek this week in an unbelievable fashion, but Auburn's playing really, really good baseball at a very high level. And, they got the best of Georgia Tech again this season, in this game now twice this season, sweeping the season head to head, obviously, both home and away. But I mean, it was a 1-0 game. I mean, how much do you really take away from that in a midweek in which, you're pitching a lot of guys that don't get a ton of innings? I mean, you're playing some, of your better relievers. I mean, Christian Chatterton is a guy that's pitched a lot of innings, a lot of quality innings, I'd say, for Auburn this year. And he goes 4 scoreless, 4 hitless, honestly, innings. I mean, then John Armstrong, he pitches 2 innings, gives us 2 hits. And after that, the bullpen of Carson Myers and Cam Tilley don't give up a hit or a run or anything. I mean, just your starter, Jalen Payton, gives up 1 hit, 1 earned run. Like, what do you, I mean, it was a 1 2/3 outing, but like, what are you going to do? I mean, you can't really lean on your pitching staff for any issues or, downfalls in that when you give up 1 run to an SEC ball club. I don't care if it's weekend or midweek, because you're still facing guys like Cooper McMurray, Ike Irish, Chase Fralick. I mean, Bub Terrell, these guys in their line. I mean, Chris Rimbert, their leadoff guy who goes 2 for 5. I mean, it's just the lack of production out of Georgia Tech's offense, going 0 for 4 out of the leadoff spot with Kyle O'Deese and Drew Burrs, holding him at bay with going 1 for 4. I mean, just the production after that, nothing really outside of Carson Kersey. I mean, he's the only one that had a hit after that. But, I mean, you got to tip your cap to Auburn, I think, in that kind of fashion. And just they're a really good ball club and, playing really great baseball at the best time, towards the end of the regular season. So outside of that, I mean, I'm going to kind of bounce around here, but LSU, I mean, you have solo homers from Derek Curiel and Josh Pearson and Jake Brown, and then that was it. I mean, I know they say that was it because they're not a home run hitting team, but the way that the game went, I mean, just big spots all over the board, Chris. A 6-run spot in the third, 3 in
Harrison, my bold prediction, and I'm sure you saw this, you will not see Bear Jones back at third base ever again, because that backfired significantly. He had a couple costly errors, led to some of those big innings. That's been kind of the chatter around Baton Rouge. We've obviously been really tuned into that this week. Jay Johnson kind of experimenting. They're trying to get different guys in the lineup, or they've got multiple guys in the outfield they want to get in. They're moving guys, I don't think that's going to happen again. Defensive liability over there cost them.
I mean, you have 3 errors against a mid-major team in a non-conference. I guess you're
2.5 hour rain delay in that game too.
Yeah,
it was a weird night. It was a weird night.
You're glad it doesn't happen on the weekend. It happens in a midweek if anything. But like, weird night with that, just the errors, just kind of the big innings, just the rain delay, everything. But like, when you're giving up, homers and just that get compounded with these errors and just cause big innings, like, it's hard for any team to kind of battle outside of that. And, you're just putting up solo shots in the first, second, and fifth for LSU. It's just like, I mean, I guess maybe that's some bulletin board fuel for going this weekend against, a top 5 team in the country in Tennessee.
Did you hear what Jay Johnson said after the game? He said he didn't even say a word to him. He said, "I'll send him a text tomorrow." I said nothing post game. So
yeah, I mean, he said the media was not a good performance across the board. Obviously, we're disappointed.
He was pissed. He was you could tell he was pissed.
I mean, it was that was one of those games, Chris, that Jay Johnson doesn't have to say anything to the team.
No,
and everyone knows the standard. Everyone knows the expectation at LSU. There is nothing that he should have to say or can say or did say that is going to make any difference. Everyone there in that locker room at LSU knows the standard. That was the complete opposite of the standard. That won't happen again, is their mindset. We're going to go take care of business this weekend and prove that that was a fluke. That was just a wild card game with the rain delay, the errors, everything involved in it. And we're going to go back and get back to showing everyone in the country who and what LSU baseball is. And it starts this weekend versus Tennessee. There's just no debate for it. There's no argument. That is the mindset going in. Come in, business trip at home, going back in the locker room, defending Alex Box, the home turf. That is the mindset. It is all business. There is no play in the locker room. I expect the rest of this week with practice and weekend. I would be surprised if I saw a crack of a smile or laugh.
No, I agree with you. I think the intensity obviously will be at an all-time high. Notable, too, that was the first midweek game that I believe LSU has lost in 2 years because they didn't lose one all.
State.
Which one?
Nicholls State.
Nicholls, that's right. Yep, it was Nicholls. But it's been a long time since LSU had lost a midweek, and they lost one in grand fashion. But
I mean, not even to a powerhouse mid-major, like like Nichols.
No, Northwestern State's not even their record's not. I mean, they're not a good.
Yeah,
Not a good
I mean,
team,
I think
so.
you talk about Vanderbilt's playing really good baseball too right now, and they dropped their midweek game. Obviously, you have a bunch of different guys throw for them. You have talented guys throw for them, like Brennan Sieber, who ended up getting the loss, which I'm not a big huge win loss guy, but Ethan McElvin, I thought looked really good. Really good. One of his better outings of the year for sure. 4 Ks and 2 innings of hitless ball and had a top play to go with it. I mean, nothing you can complain about that. But Austin Nye having a rough start, getting hit around 5 hits in under 4 innings. I mean, outside of that, it was just kind of a pick and poke kind of game. And just Middle Tennessee State had the clutch hits when they needed to. And, that 2 runs in the 8th really just, really made a big difference in it, honestly. I mean, it's just one of those things, put in the back pocket, move on to the weekend, take care of business on the weekend because they got a big weekend coming up as well. Everyone, it feels like in the SEC does, but obviously 2 series mean more than I think the rest of them right now.
Yeah, it's a big weekend, no doubt. Last thing I'll say on the midweek, Harrison,
Georgia, you were there.
Georgia, I was there. Yeah, it just, you give Clemson credit. The arm shut them down. Georgia had a few situations where they were unable to cash in, had a runner on third, less than 2 outs, couldn't get it in.
They left they stranded a pair of runners in the third, fourth, and fifth, in seventh.
Yeah. Clemson's pitchers were nails, man. Clemson's pitchers were nails.
Yeah.
They had that kid coming to the end of the game who's leading the country in saves. Clemson's got a really good team. Really good team. They were at home. The atmosphere was super regional-esque. Like, it was a fantastic crowd. I was out there in the Cajun Cafe, had a blast. Appreciate all the hospitality, all the great Clemson fans out there. It was a really good time outside of Georgia just not having really any life swinging the stick. And they pitched it pretty well. Held Clemson at bay, just, on the road and just got shut down. So
yeah, tough place to play for sure. We've been there. DKS is a rocket environment, especially when it gets, postseason baseball. You'll talk about after the game. Wes Johnson, he said something, about the game. Obviously, it's going to turn around for us. And it's just, that was the message to the guys and hoping it's sooner rather than later. Obviously he's been in a lot of he's an experienced guy as a coach and, his career as a whole. He said they did some things better today, challenged themselves, and they did better last week. It doesn't always mean the results are going to be the same or show up, but that's just part of the season, especially playing in the SEC, Chris. But let's touch on Texas State, just because of,
I was going to say it was poetic timing with my win anyway clip that Texas has just found a way to win no matter what. And that's exactly what they did yet again.
You score 10 runs in the last 3 innings, 4 in the 9th. Just talk about just poise and just guts and like winning anyway. Jalen Flores, grand slam in the 9th inning. We were talking about, it's like, oh my God, he just hit a grand slam. It's like, when they need to, they hit home runs. They don't hit them often, but when they need to, they just come through in different ways, and they're able to win different ways. And it's just against a gritty, probably, scrappy postseason team that Texas State's going to be. And just, Austin Eaton gave him hell too. 4 shutout innings, 3 hit ball, working around a couple walks, and just, the bullpen kind of for them just fell apart, honestly, after that. But you get a lot of guys, and we were wondering how Texas is going to pitch this midweek with, the situation going this weekend with Jared Spencer expecting to not pitch. And, you use guys that, again, don't have a ton of innings in their belt, or guys that haven't pitched a ton, but you do get, Andre Duplantier II, and you get Thomas Burns, who's got 3 saves now in the year, pitching in the midweek. So good to see them pitch. And I think, you learn more about those guys, when it comes to postseason, it can be really important to have.
No doubt. That's what the midweek provides. Obviously, you learn about your team depth-wise for sure, but I think Texas, we learn more of what we already know. Is this team is tough as nails, and they find a way to win. And again, big time swing of the bat by Jalen Flores gives them those go-ahead runs they needed. So an electric midweek slate, no doubt, Harrison, and that leads us into the weekend, conference weekend number 7. Again, maybe the best weekend of conference play at this point. Guys, before we get there, I do want to tell you about our friends over at Melon Hats. You have seen me on the air rocking. You see we've got the black, we've got the gray. You see me rocking these all the time. And I'm a huge hat guy. Harrison's a huge hat guy. We believe in good lids. This has become one of my favorites. Actually, I would say it's become my favorite hat because of the comfort, the fit, the sizing.
You coming soon on my
Harrison's Melon Hats in the mail as we speak, coming soon. I cannot wait to get your firsthand take on these hats. Again, I know you're a big hat guy as well. What I love too, guys, never seen this before. They got a hydro collection and a thermal collection. They've got cool weather, warm weather. It's perfect to wear whatever you're doing, whether you're at the beach or at the tailgate, you're playing golf. I'm a big golfer, love to wear it on the course. you're hanging out around the house, whatever it is, this is your new favorite hat. If you're looking for a hat as tough as you, check out Melon. You won't wear anything else after you get one for yourself. Go to melon.com. That's melin.com. Put it to test yourself. Again, melin.com, melon.com. Tell them that Chris Phillips and Harrison Fant from the Windup sent you over. That being said, Harrison, let's dive into it. Conference weekend number 7. We will start as we normally do with the Thursday through Saturday series, and we do have a pair of those this weekend. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, we'll start Georgia and Oklahoma. The Dogs returning home, losers of 4 straight. Oklahoma coming off the midweek loss to Oral Roberts, but obviously swept Missouri over the weekend. I think the big question here, Harrison, does Georgia coming home snap them back into form when it comes to swinging the stick? Obviously, for them on the road, it's lately at least the road woes have been really, really significant. You're coming off getting swept at Vandy, and you and I have talked about, Harrison, the importance for Georgia securing a top 8 national seed, having home field advantage through the postseason, trying to punch their ticket to Omaha for the first time in over a decade, because we have seen the home and the road splits. There is a significant difference. For Oklahoma, Kyson Witherspoon going to get the baseball again. You and I talked about this on Monday. Not his best stuff over the weekend against Mizzou. Gave up 4 earned against not a great Missouri lineup. How does he bounce back? It's going to be interesting. Do they pitch off again? Is going to be really, really interesting with Kyson Witherspoon. Where do they have him in the rotation? Can Malachi build off his big performance? Obviously, the lineup for them tore up Missouri pitching. Harrison, I'm going Georgia here. I think Georgia is going to bounce back. And I tell you this, talking to Georgia fans, because I was in Athens earlier this week, there's a sense of urgency. I think they understand this is a huge bounce back. This was even before they played Clemson. This is a huge bounce back spot. They need to come back home and play their best baseball. I think they will. I think Oklahoma gets a game. Maybe it's Kyson's start, but I think Georgia, I got to believe, returning home at Foley, they're going to play much better than they have. They're going to snap out of their funk, and they take this series against the Sooners.
Yeah, Chris, a lot of teams around the SEC that are perennial SEC teams, top of the rankings right now, aren't playing their best brand of baseball, especially what they've shown us this season. The last few weeks, they aren't. And Georgia's one of them. They absolutely are. I mean, the last 7 games, they're batting .218 as a team. That's 292nd ranked in the country. Not what we expect out of Georgia. I mean, as a season overall, they're batting .299. That's 60th ranked in the country. But OPS, 240th ranked in the country at 732, which is really drastically different than their 4th overall, over 1,000 OPS as a whole this season, with 168 WRC plus, weighted runs created plus, second in the nation this season. But we talk about playing on the road, how much they've offenses struggled, not traveled. I mean, they're just not traveling well, and they're feeding the trees at home and not leaving any for the road, I guess. But the pitching staff is struggling the past 7 games as well. 7.05 ERA, 221st ranked in the country. Not good and just not what you want, but something just about Georgia playing at home, Chris. Something about them that's just so comfortable. They're so relaxed, loose, playing freely, swinging the stick. I mean, I've seen them play in person, sitting right behind home plate on a big league field. Just their approaches, their at-bats, they're so mature, such veteran approaches, it feels like, and not missing pitches in the zones, and their pitches that they can crush. And they've been able to hit against good pitching. A lot of good pitching has really gotten to them, Chris, but something about playing at home gives me the feeling and the confidence that they're going to come back and win this series, even though I don't feel confident in them statistically this weekend. I just feel like that it's a bounce back week. It's a desperation week for them to stay in the national hosting seed of the top 8 national seed to host not only a regional, but a super. And it's a little bit of desperation. And you got a really good pitching staff overall coming in, headlined by the Witherspoon twins, more so Kyson Witherspoon than Malachi. But Malachi outpitched him last week. He outpitched his brother, surprisingly. And I think it's a bounce back week for Kyson. And just maybe they get that game 1 win. But I think Georgia takes the series, and just that desperation, relying on the offense and the pitching staff with Wes Johnson, just finds a way to manipulate that, be strategic with the staff, and comes out with a series win against a really good Oklahoma team.
I'll go as far as to say this, Harrison, before we close out on this series. I think this would be a bad series loss for Georgia, all things considered. I think when you think about –
I'd say a really tough series loss. I wouldn't say bad.
Just from the standpoint of, like, this is one you need to get. I think if you're Georgia, like, you need to protect the home field. You absolutely do. Like, you're fighting not for your postseason lives, but for your top 8 national seed lives. I think you would feel like, as a Georgia fan, man, we are really starting to slip and scuffle. And Yeah, if you can't protect the home field, it's going to be pretty tough coming on in the final closing stretch because they got a few tough series, obviously, down the road. So I'm going Georgia. You're going Georgia. We think they're going to bounce back. Our guy, Jake McKeever, also going Georgia as well. Let's go to the other Thursday through Saturday series, Harrison. Alabama and Missouri. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this one. 0-30 watch is officially on for MIZ. And Harrison, I think the big question for Bama, there's two. Number one, Justin LeBron bouncing back. How does he bounce back after last weekend really getting shut down against LSU? The other, what does the pitching staff look like? RollTide.com, Alabama's official website, put out a probable starting pitching rotation, so I think it could still change maybe. But it is Faye Quick Adams again, which I'm not totally surprised because I think you look at it as, hey, let's wait until we're getting that extra day of rest if we're going to flip around the rotation. And Faye was good last week. Faye was good in the Thursday game against LSU. But how was the pitching handle? But, I mean, Harrison, I'll spare you the dramatics. I'm going Alabama. I'm going Bama in the sweep. Mizzou just got run ruled by Missouri State. Baseball's a funny game, but till I see it, I don't know. I think 0-30. This team might be destined for it. This is a historically bad SEC baseball team. But bottom line is this. Alabama will win this series at home in Tuscaloosa. I don't think they'll have much trouble in doing so.
Yeah, short and sweet with me too. I got Alabama winning this series and going for the sweep on Sunday, or I guess game 3, which would be Saturday for them. I think it's a get right spot for Bama on the pitching staff side, but more so on the offensive side, getting a kind of a bounce back series and just weekend for Justin LeBron and company around him. But I mean, he's just been struggling a little bit lately, but it's crazy because he's still batting .324 with over 1,100 OPS. But Cade Snell had a huge weekend this past weekend. He leads the team in batting average and just behind Justin LeBron and OPS at just over 1,000. So I'm expecting a big weekend from the lineup and just Bryce Fowler maybe having a big step-up weekend himself. Brendan Norton kind of getting back in the swing of things, struggling at .214 batting average. But really going to be watching more so the pitching staff because we've seen Missouri get to some pitching staffs like, Ole Misses with Riley Maddox and Hunter Elliott a little bit too. But, I mean, I think you have to get right here for Bama. You have to, on the pitching staff-wise, get some length. Tyler Fagan needs to have another really good start and just gives him some length too. And just kind of figure out solidify roles going to the postseason. That's the biggest thing for Bama. I think they can do that this weekend, and I think they should, and I think they will.
And, of course, our guy Jake McKeever also going with Alabama. Harrison, let's go to the Friday through Sunday series. We will start with where I am going to be this weekend. Alex Box Stadium, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It is going to be peak SEC baseball down in the Bayou. The LSU Tigers and the Tennessee Volunteers. Harrison, really interesting. Number one, obviously the big storyline. My first ever experience at Alex Box for a series. Went there last year for the SECU tour. We went down for the LSU Ole Miss football game. I did go to a scrimmage. This will obviously be a lot different. The smell of bourbon will still be in the air, but it will be much, much more intense. We've got plans with our guy, Mikey Matuk, going to be linking up with him, and it's just going to be a really good time. Guy Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. We're going to have a blast, obviously, down there in the Bayou with all the great LSU folks. But when you look at this series, Harrison, what's interesting, we've got a pair of fan bases who are very on edge right now. I don't know that the shit talk is quite what we thought it would be coming in this weekend because you got Tennessee who just lost 2 or 3 to Kentucky, and they're not playing great baseball over the last few weeks. You got LSU fans who, even after taking 2 or 3 to Bama, you'd have thought they'd have lost the series, and then they get run ruled in the midweek, so they went from nervous to, I think, just flat out pissed off. So these fan bases come in on edge, upset, not happy with how their team is playing. So something's got to give. Like, somebody's going to leave this weekend feeling a lot better about their club than they did. It just has to happen. Tennessee's defensive woes, I think, for me, Heberson, are a really, really interesting storyline in this. Dude, they gave up, I think it was like 13 stolen bases in games 2 and 3 combined. They gave up 7 stolen bases, I was told, in 2 innings.
It was
Saturday.
To the SEC leading team in stolen bases.
I know. But I know that talking to Tennessee folks, they are really disgruntled with the way the defenses looked. Both of these teams, by the way, Harrison, we get to a rubber match on Sunday, who knows? Because both of them have struggled in game 3. Both of them, it'll be all hands on deck for both sides. LSU's looking for their lineup to come alive. I'll tell you this, Harrison, and I'll go ahead and lock in my prediction. I'll pass it off to you. I know both teams have scuffled. I know both teams have struggled. But with this atmosphere and this primetime series and just what's on the line and Jay Johnson, Tony Vitello, I genuinely expect the best out of both of these teams. I really do. I think both are going to rise to the occasion. We got some electric pitching matchups with Cade Anderson and Liam Doyle kicking us off on Friday. I mean, that's as good as it gets, man. And I'll tell you this, Harrison. It's a series where if someone asks you, describe SEC baseball, bottle up what you're going to get this weekend at Alex Box Stadium. From the stadium itself, the atmosphere, the fan base, the coaches, the stars, the future big leaguers, like the dramatics, the trash talk, everything you could think of when it comes to what makes SEC baseball great is going to be apparent, is going to be at the forefront of this weekend. Now, when it comes to a pick, it's tough because both are scuffling. Both are struggling. Which of these two teams is going to come alive and play their best baseball? I have to lean the home team, man. I think Alex Box is going to be an absolute electric factory. I think there's a sense of backs against the wall for LSU. And I'm not saying Tennessee doesn't have that as well, because they do. But I think LSU, in front of the home crowd, this type of series, I just don't think there's any way the Bayou Bengals lose this series under the lights in Baton Rouge. Give me LSU. It's going to come down to a rematch, I think, no doubt. I think whoever wins this series is going to take 2 of 3, but I like LSU to take 2 games here. They know they got to make a statement. This is a huge series. We talk about separation. If you're going to be a national seed, you got to take 2 or 3 this weekend. Whoever takes 2 or 3 is on the fast track to be a national seed, top 8 national seed. Both understand it. I know LSU understands it. I think Jay Johnson's going to get this team right. They will bounce back. Bats come alive. LSU takes the series against Tennessee in front of what is going to be an electric crowd at Alex Box Stadium.
Crazy, Chris. Crazy you're betting against Tony V.
Betting against Tony Vitello. I know.
You're betting against Coach V. Wow. I mean,
I know.
Just so everyone knows, we did not compare notes or who was picking who.
I don't know. Just so y'all know, I have no idea who Harrison's about to pick right now. None.
There's going to be a lot of maybe some overlap in what we say in this because, I mean, we're both big baseball nerds.
I apologize for stealing your thunder prematurely. I apologize.
I know, because so much of it is we think so alike, and I think covering SEC baseball, but also in this series, I mean, just 2 teams that are, kind of new blood versus blue blood. And I think you can say that with Tennessee and LSU. And, the last 2 years, it's been LSU wins a national championship with Paul Skeens in a historic season. Tennessee wins the championship last year with Christian Moore in a historic season. And now they're facing off head-to-head in a regular season. I mean, this is peak SEC baseball. This is peak college baseball. You want to get into college baseball, you watch this series go down between this new blood and blue blood, whether it's overstated or not, overset or not, at a venue like Alex Box Stadium, which I am still working on getting to. One day will happen. I'll go see Mike the Tiger as well, but it is going to be, I mean, they might have just some noise complaints from, I don't even know who. Probably people that don't like baseball in LSU, which I don't find that to be many people, because LSU fans bleed baseball. I mean, Alex Box, it's going to be sold out, standing room only. You're going to be weaving through people like I did at Masters just to see a glimpse of Rory putt or Rory drive. It's going to be such an electric factory. It's going to be so loud. Like, people with their Apple Watches and phones are going to get noise complaints on their phone from their device saying, hey, it's too loud of an environment. I've seen it happen before. It's going to happen this weekend in Alex Box. And it's going to be a tight series because it will absolutely be a rubber match on Sunday for me. I think it comes down to who limits the mistakes, Chris, at the end of the day. Who limits more mistakes, right? And it's interesting because we talk about how LSU is not a home run hitting team as much as Tennessee is. Tennessee has 93 home runs this season, Chris. Whether you want to call Lindsey Nelson a peanut factory, a bomb box, whatever you want to call it, LSU has 57 home runs. They're just not they don't rely on the home run ball as much as Tennessee does. They're a doubles and, hit some out home runs kind of team. It's a different team that we've seen in a style of play from LSU than traditional teams. But, as a whole, it is neck and neck, WRC plus OPS average as a whole this season. But both teams, we talk about how much they're struggling the past 7 games. I mean, I'll just give you some quick stats. I mean, batting average, Tennessee's 240th in the country the past 7 games. Wild to think. And LSU is right up there with them at 18th ranked in the country. That's both 250 and 257 respectively. I mean, their OPS, Tennessee 145th in the country at just over 800. LSU 243rd in the country. OPS rank at 729. Just both of them are struggling. ERA is very similar, kind of that 50-ish range rank, 384 for Tennessee, a 405 for LSU. It's going to come down to, like I said, limiting the errors, capitalizing on mistakes of the other team, timely hitting with runners in scoring position, something we've seen both teams do very well this season, but also struggle at times. And just that timely hitting and clutchness. Clutch factor, I think, is a stat that you can't really measure, but you can see and you can feel. You can see it happen in real time. You can feel it happen in real time, and you can reflect back on it, look on it. It's going to come down to who has more of that. And Chris, there's just something about playing at the box that people find hard to do. I know Northwestern State just went in there and run rolled LSU in a midweek. Maybe it was a look-ahead game for LSU with Tennessee coming in town, the defending national champions. But when you have a team like Tony Vitello has, led by veterans like Hunter Inslee and young bucks like Levi Clark, and you got other veterans around there. I mean, guys, the whole lineup, I mean, is batting. I'd say, what was it, 7 of the 9 guys are batting over 300. Over half the lineup is batting OPS-wise over 1,100. And it's just, you have the horses, the stable that they have. We've been talking all season, Chris. How do you bet against this team? How do you beat Tennessee? You said it earlier, Chris. Is this Tennessee team better than the 2024 national championship team? You were ready to go there. Ebbs and flows of the season, hot, cold, hot. You got to go into Alex Box and face Bear Jones, Derek Curiel, Daniel Dickinson. I mean, Steven Monster Milam. You got to go face Cade Anderson. I mean, you got to go face just this studs on the mound. You got Chase Shores in game 3, hopefully. I think he put him back in the rotation for game 3. I think that's the way to go for that. Anthony Ianson in game 2 versus, I mean, you're going to get Cade Anderson versus Liam Doyle in game 1. You want to talk about a pitching duel and some studs that are going to be big leaguers one day? Watch that game. Then follow up with game 2, Anthony Ianson and Marcus Phillips, 2 guys that are filling up the heat sheet. I mean, it's going to be such an electric factory and an iconic, instant classic series that LSU is going to pull away and take 2 or 3 with. Somehow, some way, just, I don't even know what it's going to be, whether it's going to be just a timely home run hitting from LSU, maybe a Bear Jones just kind of lights it up this weekend, but it's going to be on the backs of reducing errors, timely pitching, shutting down Tennessee's offensive production, running score position, and then having one more extra clutch hit. I'm riding with the home team, the LSU Tigers at home, because they're playing at the box, Chris. This is a neck and neck. I expect every game to be a 1-run ball game, 5-4, 6-5, maybe a 7-6 game, just when the pitching staff's kind of, when you go to the bullpen, but LSU finds a way at home, honestly. And I think if this series is in Knoxville, I think I lean Tennessee. I don't have to make a pick for that because it's not happening, but LSU finds a way in the box. I think they get that boost from the crowd, playing at home, playing with just a horribly salty taste in their mouth after getting historically embarrassed for LSU at home, run ruled by a team in a midweek. They come in, they somehow take 2 or 3, and I bet you they find each other in the postseason again, and it's gonna be another instant classic for sure. But going with the Tigers this one, Chris.
I think you make a great point there, Harrison, that I do think LSU comes into this weekend with a bad attitude. Not saying Tennessee won't, but I think LSU is going to be a little extra pissed off. Again, I said the fan base is going to be pissed off. They're going to be
home field matters.
As rowdy as all hell. I'll tell you this, and everybody's going to know who I'm talking about when I say this. I talked to a SEC head coach earlier this week, and he told me, Chris, here's what you can expect at Alex Box. They'll start drinking at 3, and they'll be hammered by first pitch. So they'll be as rowdy as all hell. The smell of bourbon will be in the air. The crawfish will be boiled. It's just going to be majestic. But I'm going LSU. You're going LSU. Jake McKeever is going LSU.
Oh,
SEC
no.
Unfiltered across the board is doubting Tony Vitello and the Vols.
I'm not doubting Tony Vitello.
That scares me. That terrifies me.
It would not surprise me in the slightest, Chris, if Tennessee wins a rubber match at all.
I agree. I'm just saying.
But you got to make
a clean sweep across the board. And again, I agree with you. I agree with you. The Alex Box factor, I think, in a series like this If it was in Knoxville, I would go Tennessee. I think it's
Yeah.
that big of a difference who the home team is.
Yeah.
Blue blood versus new blood. Yeah, blue blood versus new blood. Going to be absolutely electric. Harrison, let's go to the other big headliner. Hey, anytime we get college baseball on the big channels for all 3 games, you know there's something pretty important happening. This is a series, Harrison. We have been looking forward to this series for nearly a full calendar year, since the day or so after the College World Series when Jim Schlossnagle threw up the deuces to Texas A&M to take the job with his buddy at Chris Del Conte over at Texas. The Longhorns and the Aggies square off in Austin for a 3-game set at Dish Falk. You talk about pure cinema. This one is going to be absolutely nutty. I mean, Harrison, take your pick with storylines. Where you want to go? I mean, there's just every storyline you can think of. You got the Aggies taking on their former head coach. You got Michael Early, who had a cup of coffee in Austin, then came back to be the head coach. He's there now at Texas A&M, of course. You got guys that played against each other that are on these teams. You got guys that have transferred from other schools that within the schools that are on these teams. No Jared Spencer for Texas also. That's a big one. A&M all of a sudden is red freaking hot. They've taken down Tennessee. They've taken down Arkansas.
On the road.
On the road. They've won 3 series in a row. Texas is 16-2 in conference play. All they do is win anyway. They've swept every top 10 team at home they played. It is going to be absolutely electric. Harrison, I'll let you start here. Thoughts on this series, prediction for this one. Dude, this is going to be pure madness.
I'm not sure if this is starting after that little intro tease segment there, but I mean, it's like you said, which storyline you want to go with? I mean, and honestly, both teams are playing great baseball. Texas A&M playing their best baseball this season, obviously coming in 3 straight series wins.
Harrison, they've gone cold, hot. Now we just wonder what follows that.
Yeah, maybe is it a cold first half, hot second half, or
prolonged hot? Is it a cold, prolonged hot?
Time will tell.
They were cold for quite a while, so I mean,
exactly. You know. But I mean, when it comes down to it, you really lean a team that is playing their best brand of baseball, and Texas A&M is doing that. They took down #1 Tennessee on the road in Knoxville when nobody picked them. No one in college baseball covering it picked Texas A&M. No one, I don't think, even gave them a chance. I saw most of the people that pick college baseball pick'ems sweeping in Knoxville, and they got shut out in combined no-hitter in game 1. Went on to win the series, game 2 and 3. Then they go to Arkansas on the road later in the #2 team in the country. What did they do? People said, "Oh, it's a fluke." It was a fluke in Knoxville. They found a way. Doubleheaders are weird. They go in there. They had another doubleheader. They end up taking 2 or 3 in the hog pen. Woo pig who? They went into Baum Walker and took down the Arkansas Razorbacks and Dave Van Horn's club. A time when people kept downing them. And now they're headed down into Austin, Texas at Dish Falk against all their former players that transferred, former head coaches. You got just the #1 team in the nation. We talked about, Chris, at what point of the season did you ever think preseason Texas would be the #1 team in the country and A&M would be unranked? No one had it. No one. You couldn't even bet a winning lottery ticket on that. But here we are, Chris. And when A&M's still not ranked, still feel disrespected, still got a bitter taste in their mouth, still have all these storylines. They've had this bulletin boarded front and center on a 65-inch at least TV or covering that span in the locker room since day 1 of the season. Not even game 1, day 1 of the fall probably. And you're facing Texas maybe at the right time, Chris, with all these injuries they have. You got Jared Spencer's out. You got Big 12 2024 Player of the Year in preseason 2025 Golden Spikes watch list, Max Ballou out. You got some other guys that are just maybe not playing their best ability of baseball. I mean, it's gonna be who steps up for Texas, in the Friday night role. How do they pitch that with, the depth of the roster and the pitching staff and the bullpen is going to get tested. Who are the guys? Who's going to step up? How deep is that Longhorn bullpen? How deep is that Hook'em bullpen? And A&M wants to find out bad. They want to find out in game 1. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But This one, Chris, is going to be another rubber match, I think, in game 3. And when you're going on the road, I talked about business trip for A&M going into Vanderbilt. I picked A&M. I rode A&M. I said business trip for the boys. They go into Nashville, Tennessee, and take care of business. Not a shot. Not a chance. They got swept, right? I mean, how do you expect them to go into Texas, the number 1 team in the nation, that's playing in a brand of baseball that is win anyway, by any means, anyhow, coming in clutch when they need to and win a series? It's on the back of maybe the best player, number 1 pick in the draft, Jace Lavalette and company behind him with Terrence Keel II, Wyatt Hensler, Caden Kent, Hayden Schott. How do you forget Chief Vibes Officer Hayden Schott? I mean, you do it by playing what you've been known to do, the type of baseball you are built on, and the talent that you have, and playing the hottest baseball you're playing all season with several guys in an OPS over 1,000. And I think they somehow go in there, Chris, force a game 3 rubber match, but then you got to face just Texas's. Oh my gosh, Chris, how do you go in there and take a series with all these storylines, everything? But I don't know how, Chris, but they are going to do it. Texas A&M, I think, goes in there and pulls off some magical storyline, fits the bill, college baseball season, upset of maybe the season, and does it because of the lack of, I think, depth that Texas is going to have in the bullpen, because of the injury of Jared Spencer specifically, and then the lack of depth of a catalyst player in the offensive lineup and production like Max Blue is. And they find a way. I know I say playing at home, winning on the road in the SEC is incredibly hard. Everyone's zigging, Chris. Everyone's picking Texas, number 1 team in the country. Everyone's this, everyone's that. You know, they can't do it a 3rd time in a row. Aggie's going to gig them in Austin. They're going to give them in Austin. You know, you're going to see something happen. Limit the mistakes. Come in clutch with runner score position. That bitter taste, Chris. That picture of Jace Lavalette sitting there in front of the dugout after the national championship after losing it. They're all still thinking about that. And they want to go in there and prove that they're not done this season. They're still on a roll, Chris. And they're going to go in there, I think, and find a way to win in Austin and gig them.
I want to set the scene here. Our guy, Jake McKeever, is going with the Texas Longhorns to take this series. So Harrison going with A&M. And like I said, Harrison, goes without saying, this is one that even if what happened after the College World Series last year didn't happen, this one still would have been circled, right? I mean, the first matchup between these two, as both members of the SEC, we're getting a 3-game set now. Like, it would have already been must-see TV. Now you've got the Jim Schlossnagle storyline. And, you know, I'm really glad that Texas A&M is heated up, because a few weeks ago, this series was, I mean, we weren't even sure it was going to be, you know, anything of note, right, with the way A&M was playing. It feels like it's almost been written in the script a little bit. Like, it was meant to be that A&M was going to heat up. This series was going to return to prime time, although A&M not ranked, which I think is kind of interesting. They didn't put them in the top 25 for this weekend. Either way, though, the emotions in this one are just going to be – I'm really curious which team handles the emotions better, because, Harrison, what's interesting, all of the pressure is on Texas here. All of it. Yeah. All of the pressure is on the Longhorns. 16-2 in conference play. They have faced no adversity in the form of, like, them losing. They've
played all these tough teams at home.
And they've played all these tough series for the most part. Longhorn fans, trigger warning, but they've played the most part at home. Let's call it for what it is. Hey, take advantage. They have. Number 1 team in the country, deservedly so. Number 1 in my power rankings, your power rankings, everybody's deservedly so. Number 1 in the country, no doubt. Here comes Texas A&M red hot. The loss of Jared Spencer significant, but Harrison, I have picked against Texas, it feels like, nearly every turn, and Longhorn fans have let me hear about it. I did have them last weekend against Auburn, but I've picked against them a lot. Picked against them against LSU. They win that series at home. Picked against them against Georgia. They win that series at home. Heck, the series against Georgia, I cited an injury just like you did when Max Blue first went out, and they didn't miss a beat swinging the stick. With that being said, to get to the point, Harrison, the script has been written. The script has been written. This one has been circled on the Aggies calendar since last summer. And like I said, the script has been written. There is no way that Texas A&M is going to let Jim Schlossnagle beat them. And I don't think the baseball gods will allow it, because I don't have any problems with Jim Schlossnagle. He is a fantastic coach. We love that coaching staff.
Yeah.
Wish him nothing but the best. But with the way Jim Schlossnagle did, one of the best coaching staffs in the country, the script has been written. Texas A&M goes into Austin. They are going to get their revenge on Jim Schlossnagle. If there was one series that Texas A&M won all season long, it was going to be this one. I just don't see a world in which the baseball gods allow Jim Schlossnagle to get his cake and eat it too. And that's what it would be, essentially. You get to dive out of town, take the Texas job. You're not going to beat Texas A&M here also. They're playing their best baseball. The stars are aligning. Jared Spencer is out. Texas A&M goes into Austin. They get the job done. All of the pressure is on the Longhorns in a highly emotional series. A&M takes advantage. They take 2 of 3. The script has been written since last summer. It's always been the Aggies. I'm going with the Aggies here to get it done and get revenge against their former skipper. There is just no way I see Texas A&M allowing Jim Schlossnagle to beat them. It is personal for them. I'm sure it's personal for Texas, but it is personal to a deep, deep level for the 12th man. They take over Austin and take 2 of 3.
Wow. So, in Texas A&M, they're sharks. They smell blood in the water.
And when you're hot, hey, listen, and the Aggies are hot.
With an injury bug going around Texas right now, let alone the storylines and everything else around it. But it's going to come down to, A&M's pitching staff is pitching some of its best ball this season so far, especially the starters. But it's going to come down to Texas A&M's offensive production. 28th ranked in the last 7 games, OPS-wise, at almost 1,000 against Texas's pitching staff. That is the 8th best ERA in the country at a 2.69. And that is with Jared Spencer, which is going to be without, now. But I think it's going to come down to that. So we'll see, Chris. It's going to be an electric series, no doubt.
Harrison, I'll say this, too, in closing. He hasn't been great of late, but this weekend, Ryan Prager legacy game incoming. Ryan Prager legacy game in Game 1. I think he is going to shove, and they will take Game 1 in Austin. I have no doubts you will see the best of Ryan Prager on Friday night. No doubts. So, veteran, he's been looking forward to it. He will rise to the occasion. So, anyways, I'm going A&M. You are going A&M. Jake McKeever going with the Texas Longhorns. Funny enough, the Aggie going with Texas. I wonder if there's some reverse psychology in that. Either way, guys, before we move any further, we're going to break down the last 4 series. I want to tell you about our friends here at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The wait is over. Baseball season's finally here, and you can start the season strong on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, FanDuel is celebrating the return of baseball by giving new customers $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to get on the action, from hits to steals to home runs. They've got a lineup filled with all your favorite bets, or if pitching is more your thing, FanDuel's got a deep bullpen of bets from strikeouts to shutout innings. So when you place your first bet, it can be on almost anything. And if it hits, you'll get $250 in bonus bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online at real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets. Expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777. Or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Harrison, let's go ahead and close these last 4 out. We'll get it rolling. We will jump into the Florida Gators hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks. Florida, they're swinging a hot bat right now, but the pitching staff still giving them some problems, especially on Sundays. Meanwhile, Arkansas looking to avoid their third straight series loss. This is an important series for both sides. Definitely Florida at home as they try to keep their postseason hopes alive. Your thoughts? Who you going with in this one at Condren Family Ballpark?
Yeah, to keep this a little more tight, I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be a really big offensive production series from both teams. The pitching staffs, I think, are going to still have their kind of hiccups and struggles. I think more so for Florida, that's just been, I think both teams have been really struggling the last 7 games. I mean, ERA-wise, you look at them the last 7 games, Arkansas had a 5.51. It's 132nd ranked in the country. Florida had a 4.91. It's 94th ranked in the country. But their offense production has been carrying them the past few weeks and just keeping their postseason hopes and dreams and season alive with a 19th ranked batting average at 339 as a team the past 7 games. Because that's why it has carried them. The long ball especially has carried them the past few weeks with an OPS just over 1,000, almost 1,100, 8th in the country. Arkansas, compared to the season whole, I mean, it feels like a massive drop off in offensive production. I mean, they're still out hitting home runs versus Florida, 20 more home runs than them at 88 versus 68. But the bitter taste that they've had in their mouth, Chris, for now 2 weeks of losing back-to-back series against very good teams. Don't get me wrong. At Georgia, and then versus red hot, maybe hottest team in the SEC and Texas A&M. I mean, something's got to give, something's got to bend back. And I think Arkansas bends back and comes up with a series win. A very important one at Florida. I know it's on the road. I think this business trip is going to be personal for them. Getting back, not personal versus Florida as much, but I mean, a legacy coaching game. We'll say that for sure. Dave Van Horn versus Kevin O'Sullivan. Awesome legacy coaching game for sure. But I think the Arkansas's pitching staff, just the higher floor I think that they have than Florida's pitching staff as a whole, let alone the starting pitching staff. I mean, we've seen Gage Wood had his struggles, obviously, in his start. Gabe Gackle looked really good at the bullpen. I think they just kind of been back into shape here, offensive production-wise, but also the pitching staff continues to improve back to what they are as a season in and of itself as a whole. And Arkansas finds a way to take 2 or 3 back to Fayetteville with them.
Yeah, Florida, the uncertainty of the pitching staff. Obviously, with Sunday, they went McNeely last weekend. He struggled. Alex Philpott has not been what they hoped he'd be in the bullpen. I think there's a mentality shift that needs to happen with those guys, talking to folks down there. I think Liam Peterson, you know what he's going to give you, and Aiden King's very good. But I agree with you, Harrison. I just don't see any way that Arkansas loses 3 straight series. I think you could argue, and some fan bases may be taken aback at this, I think you could argue Arkansas is the most complete team in the conference. Like really, truly top to bottom. They don't have a ton of weaknesses, really, if any at all. I mean, obviously they're beatable. It's baseball, but I just don't see this Hogs team losing 3 straight series. I think it's highly competitive. I think Florida absolutely takes a game, but I just think Arkansas, they will outlast the Gators, especially on the bump. I think the lineup will be good this weekend as well. I think Arkansas wins it on Sunday. I'll go that far. I think they win it on Sunday, but I do have the Hogs taking 2 of 3. Our guy, Jake McKeever, he's going with Florida to stay hot. That would be a massive, massive series win, massive shot in the arm for the Gators, who, again, I believe are sitting at 6-12. So, I mean, fighting to get to that 13-win number, which is what you feel like you need to be at to feel good about getting in the postseason. Harrison, let's go to Auburn, Alabama. The Auburn Tigers host Mississippi State. War Eagle looking to bounce back from getting swept at Texas. Ike Irish looking to stay red hot. Mississippi State, talk about another team that their postseason hopes on life support. What do they have left in the tank? Harrison, I'm going to go with Auburn here. I hate to say it because Mississippi State was one of my preseason Omaha sleepers, and I picked them to go to Omaha. But, I like the starting rotation. Bullpen's got some nice pieces. I think they got holes in the lineup, and I just think Auburn, nasty taste in their mouth in Austin, coming back home. People may be forgetting just how good this team actually is. I think they'll remind people. I think they get the series dub.
Yeah, I think Auburn takes the series too, and I think they do so in the fashion of they win games in this series in multiple ways, like they've kind of been able to prove to do so most of the season as a whole, I think. I know they're struggling offensively the past 7 games, batting well below 250 outside. It's top 263th in the country. I mean, the pitching staff, though, has really stepped it up, I think, headlined by Sam Dutton, who's just been shoving in his outings and is just a catalyst for their pitching staff. And I feel like the kind of mojo and vibe in the locker room, obviously, and just giving the offense some confidence too, that they don't have to have it all in their backs. But Mississippi State's swinging a really hot bat right now. Some of their best statistically branded baseball the past week versus the season as a whole. But I just don't think it's enough for them to overcome the kind of holes that they, I think, as a large scale macro lineup holes they have, and the drop off I think they have in a pitching staff after Pico Con. I think maybe they go in there and win game one. Maybe Pico Con outduels Sam Dutton, but I just don't see him winning 2 of 3 at Auburn the way that Auburn's playing right now, winning in multiple ways.
Our guy Jake McKeever also going with the Auburn Tigers. We all three think they bounce back in a big way. Let's go down to the SIP, Harrison. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. This one a sneaky good series. Any other weekend where we didn't have some of the other headliners, I mean, this one's going to be fun. Some elite pitching matchups with Hunter Elliott, Riley Maddox on the Ole Miss side. We got J.D. Thompson, your boy Connor Fennell on the Vandy side. Obviously been very, very good. Sawyer Hawks, what he's done out of the bullpen. Brody Johnson looking to stay red hot in this series. Had 7 RBI in that Saturday game against Georgia. Obviously, they're coming off the big sweep against the Dogs. And Ole Miss coming off a disappointing series loss at South Carolina. This one scares me, Harrison, I will admit, because I like Swayze, and I think Swayze is one of the more difficult places to play in the conference. But I think Vandy's hot right now, man, and I believe in the arms. I really do believe in the arms for Vanderbilt. They're so tough to predict because it's like if you told me the offense went ice cold and they lost a few games by 1 or 2 runs, I mean, I would absolutely believe you. But, man, when you got a pitching staff like that, that's something you can lean on. I think Vandy outlasts. And I think game 2 is going to be a big deal. Riley Maddox has been very inconsistent in that spot. What version of him do we get? I think Vanderbilt, they go on the road tough as nails, get a big series win here.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt pitching travels. They're pitching at one of the highest levels in the SEC across the board, I think. And yes, they have a lack of production in the offense. They only have 38 home runs this year compared to, I think it's last in the SEC, if not one ahead of Missouri. Ole Miss has 78 home runs this season. Both offenses are struggling massively the past 7 games. And I think it's going to be on the backs of the pitching travels for Vanderbilt. They go in there, they take 2 of 3, some way, some fashion. Riley Maddox, you don't know what you're going to get exactly out of a great starter, just a really rough, short start that's going to inhibit the bullpen to come out early. But I think they have enough offense production. They've proven that to us. They're playing hot baseball right now. They're playing some of their best brand. They go in there and quietly, I think, somehow take 2 or 3 at Swayze in front of the Crazies.
Jake McKeever going with the Ole Miss Rebels. Going with the home team there at Swayze. Finally, Harrison, Kentucky and South Carolina do battle in Lexington. Gamecocks are going to build off that big Ole Miss series win where Brandon Stone was fantastic. The 86-pitch complete game. Jake McCoy in game 2, great as well. Kentucky, they're coming off taking 2 of 3 at Tennessee. One of the bigger surprises of last weekend were Nick McKay and Ben Cleaver. I mean, they were absolutely shut down in games 2 and 3. And Kentucky is quietly putting together, Harrison, a pretty nice postseason resume. They're in all the projections you see. Don't think they're going to be a host of any kind, but probably going to be one of the toughest 2 seeds you're going to find in college baseball this postseason. Harrison, when you look at this series, these are 2 teams that have been hard to figure out at times, but I'm leaning on the pitching of Kentucky. I think they will shut down that Gamecocks lineup for the most part. I know, listen, South Carolina building off that big series win last weekend, I think that's probably more of a one-off than who they are. Kentucky's been pretty consistent when you think about it this season. Like, they are who they are, which is a really scrappy club, really, really good pitching staff. I think that's going to be enough for Kentucky to get the series dub at home.
Yeah, I think the pitching staff for Kentucky is playing at a lot higher level, more consistent level, and a higher floor as a team. And they're going to be hell in the base paths. They're going to give South Carolina all they can, stealing bags, getting in position for singles to get them in from second and third, and going to just be too much to handle to overcome for South Carolina. I think it was more of a ceiling beating Ole Miss at home and how they did it than a floor kind of thing. And I think Kentucky playing some of their best baseball they played all season. We saw them the series against Tennessee and how well they played and how they just inhibited a lot of just kind of difficult situations that they made it so scrappy. That's their brand of baseball. And I think the pitching staff, Nick McKay, Ben Cleaver, especially on a Sunday, is going to give them enough to overcome this. And playing in Lexington too, it's going to be good for them to play at home, and they find a way to win the series.
So Harrison going Kentucky. I'm going Kentucky. Jake McKeever also going with Kentucky. Guys, that's going to do. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. We got to let our guy Harrison go get some donuts, and I got to run. So, again, appreciate you all. Thank you all so much. you can find us in Baton Rouge this weekend. It is going to be an absolute blast. We can't say thank you enough. I didn't expect Harrison to actually just jump out of here. But again, guys got to go get some donuts. He's got things to do. Again, we appreciate each and every single one of you. Make sure you follow Harrison Fant at Fantavious9, I believe it is, on social media. I'm at CPhilly19, and we can't say thank you enough. Follow us at SEC Unfiltered. Again, if you're in Baton Rouge this weekend, if you're at Alex Box, whether you're an LSU Tiger or a Tennessee Vol, would love to link up with you, would love to connect, would love to say hello. It is going to be an absolutely electric weekend, a great weekend for college baseball. And, man, we are going to have one hell of a time. So, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Harrison Fant, I'm Chris Phillips. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you all tomorrow night on Friday Night Spikes.